Um, just thinking about the movement that we're experiencing against police brutality. I'm very much in support of the movement against police brutality. It's a no-brainer, and it really is. You don't want people that you pay to protect the community, yourself, your family, to all of a sudden beat up or murder or falsely arrest or trump up charges, do the rest of the stuff that the bad cops do. Nobody wants that, but unfortunately they do it, and a lot of this cops, um, they they keep hush hush for their friends. So obviously we don't want it for obvious reasons, especially if you're a minority like me, and if quote unquote minority. So, however, I don't think that we should defund the police. That's not. You have to have some type of element in society to protect the vulnerable members of society, or the people who don't necessarily have to be intrinsically vulnerable. You'll be vulnerable as soon as somebody sticks a gun in your face to rob you, or your children or your loved ones, or kidnap them, or um, do all kinds of things. So we need a police force that is present to protect uh, people from hurting each other, or to catch somebody who's out there robbing people, killing people. You need somebody to catch the serial killers, the robbers, the rapists, all these people. We need that. So you're not gonna, talk nicely to a person who just robbed a little old lady or something like that. You don't. So there is an element. You need an armed force to protect from certain elements in society who do commit, crimes that warrant being apprehended. So now, having said that, I I understand. I also understand that we need, number one, we need to make sure, we need to vet this people that we give them this power. We need to vet them way better than we're doing. You can't just throw somebody out there and put them in a 21-week training program, which is what cops are getting all over the nation, and throw them out in the street, and you know and give them free hand to do whatever the hell they want when it comes to arresting whoever they want. So, you know, most countries that are, civilized nations, that are progressive, they're requiring at least 3 years, a 3 year training program. It's like a college degree, 3 or 4, for you to be a cop. You can't just, and that makes sense. And also, you need to vet these people to make sure that they're not members of any type of white supremacist organization, which is the case in many places, unfortunately. Where you have an entire police force that might as well have a fucking swastika on their fucking forehead. You can't. You have to vet these people. So that's another thing. We have a problem with police, and then if you think about, if you see, I've seen the videos of these people just having normal conversations with little warnings, say, hey, stay at home, we're coming in hot, don't go to the protest, to counter protest, we're coming in with tear gas and everything. Like they're friendly with white supremacist groups, and you can't do that. These are terrorist organization. The KKK is a terrorist organization. All of these white supremacist groups the Boogaloos, the new group, these people their sole purpose is to terrorize, to shoot people, to kill people, to start a civil war. And in the case of the KKK, where they have reluctantly, that the government is still reluctant to classify them as a terrorist group, even though we've been calling for that for a very long time, and that's exactly what the KKK is a terrorist. So a terrorist organization. So this business of police being friendly and with white supremacist groups needs to end. If you're under my command and I catch you being buddies with any of this organization, I'm gonna fire you. You're fired. That's it. This business about and police, fraternal police, the FPO order. These people have way too much power. As soon as people protest them, they're we need to be in the conversation. Well, we tried to talk, and we end up being beat up. We tried the peaceful protest, and we get ostracized and nobody listens, and get called unpatriotic for kneeling and to bring attention during the national anthem or stuff like that. That's we can't do that. But as soon as people get angry because the cops won't stop killing black people, unarmed black people, or just using lethal force as a first resort, those people are communists, or they're rioters and terrorists and blah blah blah. So it's the same thing. It's the same thing. And then we have people that are celebrating the murder. We have a large segment of the population who support unsanctioned and extrajudicial killings by police. These are lynchings. I mean, and then you got cops out there who, when they murdered Eric Garner for selling cigarettes in New York, which is a nonviolent offense. The guy was just trying to make a living. They choked him to death, and he was saying, "I can't breathe." Well, after that, the cops came in New York, NYPD, and they made shirts mocking Eric Garner, says, "Breathe easy, don't break the law," as a celebrating that they murdered Eric Garner. Nobody got convicted for murdering. The only thing that happened, it didn't happen only after many protests, and the only thing that happened was that they fired. Actually, I think he resigned. The cop who killed him. They were high-fiving each other, And we can't allow police to arrest 6-year-olds, 12-year-olds. We can't. We got to get them out of the fucking school system, especially these cops that think that they can just solve anything with violence and arrest. It's just fascism. You can't have that. You can't allow a police officer to enter a school and arrest a 6-year-old. That will scar that child forever. You can't do that. In that area, you need to keep police out. And people say, "Oh, what about school shootings?" What about school shootings? You can have a cop outside, but you certainly don't. I went to a school one time to do a presentation or something for one of my books. They had a cop he looked like Rambo, and this guy was left and right, active in all kinds of you could tell he was bringing in some type of gossip to the, and it's just, that's not what a cop does. He's not a social worker. Okay, he's not trained as a psychologist, a child psychologist. So all these hats that are being put to cops, those not their hats, you know. And if you don't have qualifications, if you're not trained to be in a school, get out. You know, that's not your job. Now, I need a cop out there, unfortunately, because I got a bunch of people out there with fucking M16s and AK-47s and weapons of war, M4s, that are whacked, and there's no vetting for buying any of these weapons. Any deranged individual can buy them. So, you know, yes, I want a cop outside of the schools, not inside the school running the day-to-day and arresting children. That's not what you're there for. You're there to protect them, not to scar them psychologically. Okay, so yeah, it's just gone too far with this idolization of cops. And then you see all these cops resigning because one of their buddies murdered somebody by pushing them, and they cracked their head. And then when you see, they won't even let their buddies try to help them, as you know, try to help the patient, that old man, 70 some years old, that they pushed up there in the protest, and the man, you know, has got brain damage. You know, you see them that they wouldn't allow him to help them, to help the man. So there is a place for cops in our society, but first of all, we have to train them better. And I'm not talking, you know, a little too. They need. You're gonna be a cop. You're gonna learn. You know, make it a bachelor's degree or something like that, something close to it, and vet them better. And don't think that cops are there to, you know, arrest kids and beat up people, and don't, you know, if they fuck up, they fuck up. You know, if they break the law and they murder somebody in custody, you know, it shouldn't take, you know, I don't know how many protests and how much civil unrest to arrest them. If it's on tape, you got it. You're a prosecutor, and you are the commanding officer of that, you know, that cop, or you're one of the people who's with them. You know, you need to make sure that he doesn't murder that people, and don't go out there printing shirts making a mockery of the people that your partner murdered. You know, so, you know, there's some thoughts.